Myles Garrett's reaction wasn't about one bad game, it was about everything piling up. When the Browns chose Dillon Gabriel to start over Shedeur Sanders, Garrett didn't hold back. Cameras caught him pacing, shaking his head, clearly fed up. It wasn't performative. It looked like a guy who's lost faith in the people running his team. The Browns needed answers, and all they gave was more confusion. Garrett's frustration wasn't just emotional, it was a sign that something deeper is off inside that locker room.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
The Browns' quarterback decision has triggered more than locker room tension. It's exposed a deeper dysfunction that's turning their season into chaos. Gabriel's uninspired play has only deepened the rift, while Sanders, calm and composed, waits silently with fans clamoring for his debut. Garrett's outburst now feels like the first public crack in an organization spiraling under pressure. And with media feeding the spectacle and the front office clinging to their questionable choices, the Browns' season is unraveling, not from injuries or losses but from within. You know it's bad when Myles Garrett starts pacing like a caged animal on the sideline. Not angry, furious. Eyes locked in, jaw clenched, energy radiating like he's one bad decision away from flipping over a Gatorade table. And the decision that set him off? The Browns starting Dillon Gabriel at quarterback, while Shedeur Sanders stood on the sidelines, helmet on, waiting. Let's be clear, this wasn't just a heated moment during a tough game. This was a full-on meltdown broadcast in real time with the entire football world watching. Myles Garrett didn't just react, he erupted. And suddenly what should have been a routine NFL game turned into a viral spectacle. Because this isn't just about who's under center. This is about a franchise unraveling in broad daylight. From the jump, this quarterback choice made zero sense to most fans. You've got Shedeur Sanders, a player seen as the future of the franchise. He's got the arm, the poise, the leadership. And then you've got Dillon Gabriel, who, let's just say, has yet to show anything resembling star power. So when Gabriel took the field instead of Sanders, the confusion turned to outrage. And when his performance underwhelmed, that outrage boiled over. Fans lit up social media. Analysts raised eyebrows. But the loudest statement didn't come from Twitter. It came from Myles Garrett, right there on the sideline as he paced, barked, and threw daggers with his glare, every movement saying, "What are we even doing here?" It was the kind of body language that screams dysfunction. Not just frustration with a single play or even a single game. This was something deeper. You could feel it in the way Garrett refused to sit. The way he glared toward the coaching staff. The way teammates gave him space like they knew, something's broken. And the worst part? He's not wrong. Dillon Gabriel's time on the field didn't silence critics. It proved them right. The offense stalled. Drives died early. There was no spark, no rhythm, no sense of command. Meanwhile, every camera cut to Shedeur Sanders waiting. Patient. Calm. Focused. He didn't throw a tantrum. He didn't campaign. He stood there, poised like a professional who knows his moment will come. But the internet? Well, they had time. Memes exploded. Clips of Garrett's sideline meltdown hit TikTok in seconds. Tweets compared the Browns to a Netflix drama. Suddenly, the team wasn't just struggling, they were trending. And not in a good way. This wasn't just a quarterback decision gone wrong. This was a full-blown PR disaster. Because when you have a fan base begging for a glimpse of Sanders and you give them this, you're not just losing games. You're losing trust. And it's not just the fans asking questions anymore. Analysts have started picking apart the Browns' logic, or lack thereof. Why sideline your most promising talent? Why double down on a quarterback who's giving you mid-tier results at best? Why create a media circus over something that should be simple? Play the best guy. But then again, this is the Cleveland Browns we're talking about. Let's not pretend this is new. This team has a history of questionable decisions. From front office feuds to coaching conflicts, the dysfunction has been brewing for years. This latest mess? Just another chapter in a very long, very chaotic book. The coaching staff's handling of the situation feels indecisive at best, completely disconnected at worst. There's a glaring disconnect between what the fans see, what the players feel, and what the management does. And when your star defensive player is the one physically embodying that frustration in front of millions, you've got a problem. Because Myles Garrett isn't just another player. He's the face of the defense. A veteran. A leader. If he's this upset, that's not just emotion, that's indictment. And yet, through it all, Shedeur Sanders stays cool. His calmness is almost eerie in contrast to the chaos around him. There's something quietly powerful about the way he carries himself. No drama. No tweets. No cryptic interviews. Just focus. Like he knows this isn't the end of the story. Like he knows his time is coming. And maybe it is. Maybe the Browns will wake up, see the writing on the wall, and hand him the keys before the season spirals further. But if we've learned anything from this team, it's that logic doesn't always drive decisions. In the meantime, the media circus grows. Every clip, every stat, every meltdown. The NFL season has officially crossed over into reality TV territory, and the Browns are the main character in a show they didn't know they were filming. It's hard to blame the fans for being fed up. Week after week, they're told to trust the process, to believe in the strategy. But how do you believe in a strategy that keeps your future star on the bench while your team fumbles through mediocrity? And it's not just about one game. This is about what kind of team you want to be. Do you want to be the franchise that gambles on potential, that takes risks to unlock greatness? Or do you want to be the franchise that plays it safe, placates the depth chart, and ends the season wondering what if? Because here's the truth, Shedeur Sanders might not be perfect, but he's got something this team desperately needs: hope. A fresh start. A reason to believe. And right now that's being wasted. It's the kind of move that doesn't just affect performance, it fractures locker rooms. Players feel it. They know who the real leaders are. They know when a guy's ready. And when management makes the wrong call, it sends a message: we don't trust our talent. That's how you lose not just games but unity. Myles Garrett's outburst wasn't just about Dillon Gabriel. It wasn't even just about Sanders. It was about years of watching this team shoot itself in the foot, again and again. And when you're pouring your heart into every snap, watching it all unravel because of bad leadership, you explode. And now all eyes are on what happens next. Will the Browns double down? Stick with Gabriel and hope for a miracle? Or will they finally give the fans what they've been screaming for, and let Sanders lead? Because the longer this drags on, the worse it gets. The team's morale is on a tightrope. The media is circling. And the internet isn't letting this one go. Right now, the Browns don't just have a quarterback controversy. They have a credibility crisis. The future of this season, and maybe even the franchise's long-term trajectory, hinges on what happens in the next few games. If Sanders steps in and delivers, this drama becomes a turning point. If the dysfunction continues, it becomes a cautionary tale. Either way, we're watching. We can't look away. Because this isn't just football anymore. It's spectacle. It's emotion. It's talent being ignored and frustration boiling over on national TV. And it's all unfolding one chaotic decision at a time. So what's your take? Are the Browns setting themselves up for a redemption arc? Or are we watching the early episodes of another spectacular NFL collapse? Let us know in the comments, because we need answers. And if you want to keep riding this roller coaster with us, meltdowns, memes, and all, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It's going to be a long season. This isn't just about Myles Garrett's sideline storm or a single quarterback call gone wrong. What we're watching is the unraveling of a team trying to convince the world it knows what it's doing, while every move says the exact opposite. And somehow the guy who isn't playing, Shedeur Sanders, is the one carrying the weight of everyone's expectations. All while being treated like a backup footnote in a script that clearly needs a rewrite. It's kind of poetic in a tragic sports movie that never happens way. You've got a calm, talented QB on the sidelines just waiting for the call. You've got your defensive anchor losing his mind in real time because he sees the bigger picture. This team is wasting its own potential. And you've got fans, analysts, and literal strangers on the internet all united in one universal feeling. What are we even doing here? There's no escaping the optics. When your star pass rusher looks like he's about to challenge the coaching staff to a duel, when your offense looks like it's being run on airplane mode, and when your most promising quarterback is being treated like an afterthought, you're not just losing games. You're losing the room. What makes it worse is how preventable all of this feels. The Browns didn't stumble into this situation. They created it, piece by piece. One indecisive move after another. A refusal to commit to a real quarterback plan. A baffling hesitation to invest in young talent. A tone-deaf approach to roster management that feels like it's being guided by a coin flip. Dillon Gabriel wasn't just underwhelming. He was the proof fans needed that this experiment isn't working. His snaps lacked energy. The play calling felt cautious. The offense stalled like a car with no gas and no GPS. And the more the Browns leaned on him, the clearer it became. They were actively choosing to ignore a better option in Sanders. What? That's the million-dollar question. Is it politics? Internal team dynamics? Fear of media backlash if Sanders struggles early? Nobody knows. But the lack of transparency, the silence from the front office, and the clear frustration from players speak louder than any press release ever could. And the internet? They're not exactly known for keeping things low-key. Within hours, this story had grown teeth. Clips of Garrett pacing like a storm cloud got dissected frame by frame. Tweets started comparing Brown's management to reality show villains. Reddit threads started plotting hypothetical trade scenarios, just in case Garrett decided he'd had enough. It's not just noise. It's pressure. From fans, from analysts, from everyone watching this mess play out week after week. And in today's NFL, perception is reality. When your team starts trending, not because of your wins, but because your defense is beefing with your coaching staff on the sidelines, you've lost the narrative. What's wild is that Shedeur Sanders doesn't even have to say a word. He's become the focal point of all this chaos without doing a single post-game rant or throwing a sideline tantrum. He just stands there, calm, helmet on, chin up, like a silent reminder that the Browns do have a way out of this. They're just refusing to take it. That contrast is what's making this whole thing explode. Garrett's passion, Gabriel's mediocrity, Sanders' silence. It's all colliding into this bizarre NFL soap opera where no one knows what the next episode brings, but everyone's already tuned in. And honestly, that's what makes this so compelling. This isn't a standard quarterback controversy. It's a team in the middle of a slow, public unraveling, with every wrong decision amplified under the microscope. And it's not just the losses that hurt, it's the feeling that the Browns could be better, if they just got out of their own way. Because we've seen this movie before. Talented team, promising young quarterback, leadership that hesitates. It rarely ends well. Eventually the locker room splits. The fans turn. The media piles on. And by the time the organization decides to course correct, it's already too late. You can feel that tension rising with every snap Gabriel takes. Every stalled drive makes Sanders' absence louder. Every time the defense gets a stop, only to watch the offense cough it back up, that frustration gets heavier. And Garrett, whether he planned to or not, became the emotional voice of the locker room. Not with words, but with raw, visible, undeniable frustration. The message he sent? We are wasting time. We are wasting talent. And we are tired of pretending everything's fine. That kind of energy doesn't fade quietly. It lingers. And if the Browns don't address it fast, it's going to burn a hole right through whatever chemistry they think they still have. Because players talk. They watch film. They know who's ready. They know who can lead. And if the guys in the locker room start believing the coaching staff is blind to that reality, that's when things really start to fracture. It's wild to think that one roster decision can send an entire franchise into chaos, but in the NFL these moments matter. They define seasons. They define legacies. And right now, the Browns are defining themselves as a team that can't recognize its own solution even when it's standing on the sideline, fully geared up, ready to play. And here's where things get scary, for the Browns anyway. The longer they delay Shedeur Sanders' debut, the more pressure builds. The expectations go up. The stakes get higher. And by the time they finally do unleash him, they might have already squandered the momentum he could have brought. It's a lose-lose situation of their own making. Start him now, and you're admitting you made a mistake by sitting him this long. Wait too long, and you risk throwing him into a desperate, broken team expecting him to play savior. Either way, the path forward is messy. But that's what happens when your leadership refuses to commit and tries to play it safe in a sport built on risk. And through all of this, Sanders just waits. He waits like someone who knows the spotlight is coming whether the Browns are ready or not. Because at the end of the day, talent rises. And fans? They don't forget. They remember who was there when things were bad. They remember who stayed ready when the coaches wouldn't call their name. And if Sanders does eventually take the field and deliver even a glimmer of hope, the entire narrative shifts. Suddenly, Garrett's meltdown becomes prophetic. The fans who begged for Sanders get vindicated. And the coaching staff? They'll have to answer for why it took this long. But until then, we're stuck in this bizarre NFL limbo where the team's best bet is sitting silent, the locker room's on edge, and the defense is out here throwing visible shade at the offense every chance they get. It's not sustainable. It's not smart. And it's definitely not how you win football games. The Browns have a decision to make, fast. Either keep pretending this is working or face the chaos, own the mistakes, and pivot before the season slips away entirely. Because this isn't just another bad week. This is the kind of turning point teams look back on years later and say, that's when we lost the plot. Or, if they're lucky and bold, that's when we finally turned it around. Here's the thing. Once the fans start chanting a player's name from the stands, before he's even taken a professional snap, You've officially lost control of the narrative. And that's exactly what's happening in Cleveland. Shedeur. Shedeur. It started out faint. A few voices. Some college diehards in the upper bowl. But by the third quarter of Gabriel's second straight drive ending in nothing, that chant grew louder. Clear. It rolled through the stadium like thunder. And on the sidelines you could see the shift. Sanders didn't flinch. Didn't look around. Didn't smirk or acknowledge it. But Garrett did. Garrett heard it. And that's when he turned around, faced the bench, and started pacing again. Like he knew, every second this goes on, the team is falling further out of sync. This wasn't just about preference anymore. It was mutiny in slow motion. And the pressure? It's not just from the fans, not just from the media. It's internal. Players are watching the stands, watching Twitter, watching each other. The unspoken conversation is happening in glances, in body language, in silence. They know. They know who the spark is. They know who should be under center. And they're watching the people in charge pretend not to see it. And that's where the real fracture happens. Not with one decision, but with the fallout that builds around it. When the coaching staff starts to feel like they're playing politics instead of football, players start checking out. They go through the motions. They stop believing in the plan. And once that belief is gone, good luck pulling this thing back together. Let's be real. Dillon Gabriel wasn't just set up to fail. He's being left out there to absorb the blowback of someone else's mistake. He didn't pick himself. He didn't bench Sanders. But he's the one walking off the field to booze. He's the one getting roasted in clips, dissected on podcasts, clipped into meme edits that say, the Browns chose this over Shedeur? It's brutal. It's unfair. But it's what happens when leadership ducks accountability. Meanwhile, Sanders keeps waiting. And the patience is starting to look a lot like pressure. The kind that builds and builds until something breaks. Because this isn't college anymore. This is the NFL. And the stakes? They're different. Every game is a business decision. Every drive affects careers. You don't get extra time to develop when the team is already spiraling. You don't get to wait for the perfect moment to ease him in when you've got Myles Garrett storming around like a warning flare with cleats on. And maybe that's what's really pushing this story into full-blown chaos. Garrett isn't a guy who speaks just to hear himself talk. He's calculated. He's focused. So when he can't hide his frustration anymore, when he breaks character on the sideline and basically performs a silent protest in full pads, that's when you know this isn't just noise. It's desperation. And here's the twist. None of this would be happening if the Browns didn't have something worth fighting for. That's the cruel irony. The very reason this meltdown hurts so much, the very reason it's gone viral, exploded online, and fractured the locker room, is because everyone knows there's a better version of this team that exists. One that's bold enough to play its best players. One that's willing to put real potential over safe mediocrity. Everyone knows what Shedeur Sanders could bring. The accuracy, the mobility, the leadership. And yes, the baggage, the expectations, the name, the spotlight. But the Browns need that spotlight. They need something to rally behind. Because what they have right now, it's not working. And worse, it's not inspiring. This is bigger than just who throws the ball on Sundays. It's about identity. Are the Browns the team that finally breaks through? The team that stops being a meme and starts being a problem in the AFC? Or are they the team that plays it safe, sticks to the script, and fades into another 8 to 9 season filled with what-ifs and next years? Because right now it's looking a lot like the latter. And if they're not careful, this whole thing could blow up even further. You think Myles Garrett's outburst was the peak? Just wait until the cameras catch offensive players shaking their heads. Until the locker room leaks start trickling to reporters. Until someone finally says what everyone's thinking. We're not giving ourselves a chance. That's coming. Maybe not this week, but soon. And when it does, the front office better be ready to answer for why they ignored the signs. Why they ignored their players. Why they sat on their hands while their most dynamic QB stood 3 feet away in full gear. And no, this isn't about rushing Sanders. It's not about sacrificing his development. It's about acknowledging reality. The Browns don't have time to wait for perfect. They don't have the luxury of patience anymore. Not with the fan base this loud, not with the locker room this tense, and definitely not with Garrett's fuse already half burned. If anything, the decision to sit Sanders for this long is putting more pressure on him. Not less. Because now, when he finally gets his shot, the expectations are going to be sky high. He won't just be stepping into a game. He'll be stepping into a rescue mission. And if he doesn't light it up from the first snap, you better believe the critics will pounce. That's what happens when leadership mismanages the rollout. They build the tension too high, wait too long, and then expect the player to perform like he's been out there all season. And still, despite all of that, Sanders waits. Still locked in. Still composed. Still the picture of poise. And honestly, that's part of what's driving fans so wild. He's not panicking. He's not lashing out. He's not even leaking cryptic Instagram stories. He's just waiting. That kind of calm under pressure? That's QB1 energy. And it's the exact thing this team is missing right now. Leadership. Confidence. Someone who wants the moment instead of hiding from it. So when do we stop waiting? When does this franchise admit that playing it safe has gotten them nowhere? That they're sitting on a talent who could not only change games but change culture? Maybe it happens next week. Maybe it takes another public implosion. Or maybe, just maybe, they finally listen to their players, to their fans, to common sense, and make the switch before it's too late. Because if they don't, then buckle up. Because this meltdown is only getting started. The media's not going to let go. The internet's already writing the script. And the locker room? It's one more bad Sunday away from boiling over completely. But you've seen the signs. You've watched the story unfold. And now you get to call it like it is. So what do you think? Is this the Browns' big blunder? Is Shedeur Sanders the answer they're too afraid to use? Or is this just another chapter in the long, painful saga of a team that can't get out of its own way? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear where you stand in this chaos. And if you're living for the drama, the meltdowns, the high-stakes football theater, we've got more coming. Hit that subscribe button because this season is already unhinged, and we're just getting started.